12:14 on At Noon from KSFR News. A state Senate committee had been scheduled to debate a proposal today that seeks to strip any county ordinance of control over oil and gas drilling, but they've canceled it. The bill would have all the regulatory power in the hands of the state's oil and gas division. There have been attempts in the past to water down that agency's control over drilling as well. But would the Santa Fe County ordinance stand up against this proposal? That was the intent of the authors when they set out to write that ordinance. In fact, they say they coordinated with the state agency to make sure there was no overlap in language. And the authors set out the oil and gas drilling element as one component of an overall development plan for the county. They hoped that in that way they could defend themselves by saying they weren't regulating oil and gas so much as they were regulating all development in the county. All observers of the oil and gas drilling issue, including those from industry, will be watching all of these moves carefully. As for the overall county development ordinance, they're taking first steps to get it in writing. A public hearing on the first aspects was to have been held today. It calls for a 6-month moratorium on certain types of development in the county until the actual ordinance can be passed. But once again, they've postponed a public hearing on that issue. KSFR's Marion Cox was there to hear the debate on that proposed moratorium, and she's on the line. Marion Cox, what happened?
The meeting started on time, and very shortly after the meeting was called to order, they got to the issue of tabling or dismissing any issues that had previously been identified as on today's agenda. And they immediately moved, that is to say the Board of County Commissioners immediately moved to table the issue related to the need for an emergency moratorium on development in the county.
Any discussion why they tabled it?
No discussion whatsoever, but we did then walk down the hallway to the county development office and ask a staff person if they had any information about the status of this proposed moratorium. And the staff person indicated that the county has been receiving a number of comments, mostly negative, lots of concerns being expressed about the county moving to put into place such a massively important moratorium with virtually no public comment period.
But this was to be the public hearing on it.
That's right. The county themselves did not make a statement at the BCC meeting this morning about why they were tabling it. What we did learn as well this morning is Robert Fralick, who, as we all know, is a consultant to the county on both the growth management plan as well as the oil and gas ordinance, was supposed to be in town this week. And on Monday, the county was informed that he would not be in town this week, likely next week. So while we don't know this for a fact, it could be that one of the contributing factors to tabling this is that Robert Fralick is not in town as well.
Now, this is a very complicated thing, and the only thing that has been published is the agenda item with the title of this hearing and the proposed 6-month moratorium. The title itself is 176 words, and there is no other information about what's in the plan. But it would call for a 6-month moratorium, maybe longer, has a provision for a longer period of time, at least in the title, somewhere in the 120th word or so, that would allow them to extend the moratorium on certain types of development for another period of time. And the certain types of development is not made clear in the title. So maybe that's where the criticism is coming from.
Well, that's right, and I think I did take a few minutes prior to the Board of County Commission meeting this morning to talk to Steve Ulibarri, the county spokesperson, about where this was occurring on the agenda today and what we might expect. And he did give me a heads up prior to the meeting beginning that this issue would likely be tabled, and when I asked him why, he simply said that the county, again, is getting a lot of reaction from people, that this is going to result in some very big changes, and that the county has decided that they possibly need to slow this process down a little bit in order for people to fully understand what's being proposed.
And adding to the confusion, there was no indication what time during today's meeting this would come. This particular agenda item was at the end of the agenda, but you say it happened first off?
Absolutely, and the other thing that's worth repeating is that the only reason I knew, as a reporter from KSFR, that this issue was likely going to be tabled is because I initiated a phone call to Steve Ulibarri this morning, and he told me in a telephone conversation. So if you have been someone who wanted to attend the meeting today to hear about this issue, you would have only discovered once you showed up at the meeting that the issue was going to be tabled.
Okay, Marion Cox will keep an eye on that.